But let's talk about, as I said earlier, there's winners and there's losers. So let's talk about the loser from yesterday's game, the San Francisco 49ers. My colleague here, Pedro, claims that they are a dynasty. But interestingly, we have seen a pattern of their head coach, Kyle Shanahan, in which is a great mind in the NFL, has lost another Super Bowl. So, Pedro, obviously the big question was the overtime. If you were Kyle Shanahan, what would you have done if you won the coin toss? And what would be your strategy to do this?
Okay, going into overtime, if I won the coin toss, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, exactly what they did. I would have received, I would have drove down the field like they did, and when it got to a point that it was fourth and 3 or something along those lines. 4th and 3, and we needed to either go for it or go for the field goal. I would have gone for the field goal. I would have played for points at that moment, because if I don't make it, exactly what would have happened is this guy would have drove down the field and did what he did, because I would put my trust in my defense that has got me to this point.
Okay, but don't you know that by having the ball first, so then when the Chiefs have the ball second, you're giving Mahomes 4 downs to get 10 yards. You're a betting man.
Yeah.
Do you like your odds in that?
Well, I had to when this is the thing. This is why when we were beginning this podcast, and I told you that in the fourth quarter and overtime, something else happened, because for 3 quarters, Mahomes was bottled up, sacked. Kelsey was basically nowhere to be found, and the defense did exactly what they needed to do. Now, there was an injury in that game that maybe could have changed things a little bit, but this is the situation that we're in. We got here because of our defense. We had to rely on our defense. Now, if it were me, the only thing that I would have gone differently that of everything that they did there is I would have ran the ball a little bit more and not throw the ball as much. Even though Brock Purdy made some great throws, it's not that I don't trust him. It's just that I believe more in my offensive line, and I believe more in CMC.
So you're talking about for the overtime?
Correct.
Okay. Well, I mean, the thing is, Pedro, that if you get the ball 1st, here's the thing. You're basically, what happened to Kansas City? I mean, what happened to San Francisco? They had to settle for the field goal. And then Mahomes, all he needed to do is either get a field goal to tie it
or score.
And most likely was, because the thing is, the rules are that
explain the rules.
We'll have a possession, and then if both end up tied after that second possession, then it's sudden death. So San Francisco, we're going to get the ball back. Anyway, let's say if it ends up tied, they were going to have the ball back with sudden death. But here's the thing. What if San Francisco scored a touchdown on that first drive? Most likely Kansas City will go for the touchdown. Let's say they had to score the touchdown, and then most likely go for the 2-point conversion to win it. That would be my strategy. I would go with the strategy of Kansas City. Guy in the ball, defer for San Francisco. If they score a touchdown, I would go, obviously, to go for the touchdown. And then instead of giving them the ball on a sudden death and to rely on my defense, right there, 50-50 at the 2-yard line, 2-point conversion. So I think there's more advantage going second than first.
Now, I'm gonna stop you real quick, and I'm gonna ask you. Sidebar on this: should this be the way that the NFL does overtime from now on in every game?
Well, it's better than before.
No, for sure, it's better than
before. It's just the first team that scored, would go on. I think this system, unfortunately, is the best what we have. I think I wouldn't make any changes
Okay.
How about you?
No, because in the past it was the first team to score, and I believe that you have to have a complete team. Um, First team to score makes a lot of sense for player safety and all that stuff. I get it, but you need to give the other team an opportunity to go out there and do what they're supposed to do. Because if a
Yeah.
team that makes it there because of their offense and they lose because of their defense, you're not giving them a chance.
No,
So
no, no. The rules how they are, I think, is fine. It's perfect for the playoffs.
no, I'm talking about in general, the whole year like this.
No, no, no. I wouldn't make any changes. The regular season, is sudden death. I would leave it at that.
But
And then the
it's
playoff.
not sudden death though. That's
No,
what
it's
I'm
not sudden death. It's if they score a touchdown, then it's over. If they
saying.
go for the field goal, then the other team has the opportunity during the
And
regular season.
then they have ties.
Well, they couldn't entice. Yeah, they could. But in the
That's
playoffs,
You can't have a tie.
no, you can't have a tie. In the
Yep.
playoffs, you play until
Okay. So this is my thing, Alfredo. I do not I do not see what they did as incorrect. I would have done the exact same thing. Um, my only issue is I would have ran the ball more because now you're giving Mahomes all this time to go out there and do what he had to do. Even though
time is not a factor. Time is not a
even
factor.
time, I know even though time is not a factor, they would just go on to another quarter. But still, I believe that they should, and the more time that's on the clock, it doesn't matter how. Like even in a psychological situation, it's always a timer that goes off in people's minds. This is
Yeah,
part of
but
the
maybe you can do it with a really good with this guy. He knows he's gonna have the time in the world. He knows that if it was about to happen, they could have ran the clock out and it would have gone to the next quarter.
yeah. Now this is what I would have done differently. I would have ran the ball more. It's just easier to run the ball in that situation than to pass it, especially when you have Debo Samuel that can run out of the back. You have a good offensive line with was Kittle. Kittle was there because he left for a little while.
Yeah,
Kittle
he came back. Yeah.
he came back. Okay, yeah, Kittle an all-star tight end. You have CMC in the backfield. You know, there's no reason why you couldn't run something that made you ran a trick play.
They could have run, but the thing is, the mistake I think was done at the coin toss. I would have gone second. I would have let Kansas City, you know, gone on their thing. Most likely would have maybe ended up going for a field goal, and then San Francisco would have known. I would have gone second.
I don't know, Fredo, but then look, what happens if they score? Now you're putting all the pressure on Purdy to go out there and do something.
Well, the pressure was still there anyway.
No, the
Well, look,
pressure.
the only good things I would do that if they score a touchdown, I will go ahead and score the touchdown and then go for two. I would not give the ball back to Mahomes.
Mm. All right.
So, well, there's a lot of debate. Oh, they did a new rule with the overtime for the playoffs. So there's a lot of debate. This is the first strategy. Even a lot of the San Francisco 49ers players didn't even know the overtime rules.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be a lot of debate. I think they require some form of strategy. I love the overtime rules because you have to really think about it and go for it. Well, Pedro, I think we definitely covered the Super Bowl. Now we're on to the off season. This will be an interesting off season where teams will now, rest up, prepare themselves, and then before we have football back again in August. But we are not done, Pedro, because we have a lot to cover, right, Pedro? We have to cover the off season.
Yep.
I know we have WrestleMania right around the corner, and many
Mhm.
more that we have to cover here in the Two Brother Podcast. So I would tell people to continue, subscribe to this channel, like this episode. Tell us who you side with. Do you side with me or do side with Pedro on these side of the arguments. We would love to hear from you. Thank you, Pedro, and have a great day.
Alrighty, Alfredo.